Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate and today I'm going to be teaching you how to paint these easy winter watercolor trees. Let's get started. To start this painting, we are first going to take our flat brush and we are going to fill up our entire page with a clean coat of water. This layer is going to be our lightest layer. So doing the wet on wet technique is really going to help this first layer of trees really just fade into the background. So once you have a nice clean coat on the back of your paper, you can take your round brush, whatever size you're comfortable with. I'm going to go with my size 6 round brush. And I'm going to take the lightest wash of a greenish blue paint color that I already mixed up ahead of time. And I'm going to start painting in my trees. So the trees are going to start at close to the top of our painting. I'm just going to dab off any extra paint that I have. That is a lot of paint. So I'm just going to sop that up real quick with my paper towel. I'm going to switch over to my smaller brush. And I'm going to go back in. And on that wet on wet, I'm just going to apply the outline, the shape of my pine trees. So for this, I'm just tapping in the color in the shape of a pine tree. So it starts out pretty small up top, and then it's going to get wider as we go down. And because this layer is really going to be hidden into the background, we don't even need to go all the way to the ground. So I'm going to stop about there with our first tree, and you can tell it's very light. And now I'm going to come in with our second, and I'm going to go a little bit shorter just for some variety. So start with a line for the top, and then just tiny little quick line motions for the top of the tree, and then I'm going to tap out the rest of the shape. Kind of coming back into that top a little bit just for a little bit more definition. So I'm just tapping in that layer. And then we're going to do one more tree for this layer. I'm going to start off to the far right. I'm going to draw a line on my paper just for a little bit different. I just want this tree to feel like a little bit of a different shape. I felt like those first two really resembled each other. I want this one to be a little bit more thin, and I just want it to stand apart a little bit more. You can tell my page is drying a little bit, so I'm just going to take a little bit of clean water. I'm just going to blend that out a little. Go back into my paint color and continue to tap out my tree. Alright, so there is our first layer. Again, we want this to be very light. Right now it might feel like there's barely anything on your page, but that is what we want, and we're going to come back in with a second layer and just keep adding to this painting. For this second layer, we are going to basically repeat exactly what we did, except we are not going to wet our background this time. We are just going to go straight in to our paint and start applying it on the dry paper. So I just made a slightly darker mixture than I did before. So I just added a little bit more pigment to that same paint color we just used. And I'm going to add in about 3 trees to this layer. So they're going to start about, I'm going to go a little higher than halfway. So I'm going to draw my line. And you can already tell that it's just slightly darker than that first layer of trees. Now these trees are going to be a little bit more prominent because they're not going to be wet on wet. So the details are going to stand out a lot more. So just have fun tapping in that color and applying it to your page. There's my first tree, so when I reach the bottom, I'm going to take some clean water and I'm just going to blend that down. Take a little bit more paint. Just dab off that color right there. And then I'm going to repeat that same process with our second tree. So this tree is going to come up a good bit higher. And you can come up with your own pattern. It doesn't have to resemble mine exactly. Just kind of have fun practicing with these trees. This is the same type of tree I use in all of my winter videos. The best way to get better at these trees is just constantly practicing them. Okay, I'm going to take that clean water again on my brush, and from the bottom I'm going to blend upward. Just kind of blend through there, and I'm just going to tap in a little bit more color. We want this painting to feel really loose, so it's okay if you get little watermarks and things like that. I'm going to put a little bit more paint back in my mixture just because I'm kind of running out of it. And I'm going to add a really small tree right here. It's going to be a lot shorter than that one we just did. I want it to be thinner as well. Just to kind of give some variety in this painting. Right, and then we're going to do that same thing. Take that clean water from the bottom and blend it up into this tree. Then we have room for one more tree to add. And this one is going to be higher again, kind of more off to that side. And then just repeating that same process. Trying to blend out that trunk line I put in. Right, and then taking that clean water from the bottom up. and we are going to let this layer dry, and then we're going to come back with our final tree layer. So this last layer of trees we want to be very bold and dark. I added some black to my greenish blue paint, and I just try to make it as thick of a wash as possible. We're going to be applying these trees more to the center and just trying to make it really the main focus. So we're still going to try to fit about 4 trees. We'll see how that goes. We might just do 3. So I'm going to do the same idea that we did before. We're going to be painting in our trees, and then we are going, instead of having to blend it down, these trees are just going to come straight off the page onto our tape. So I'm going to start between these 2 trees, and I want this tree to be pretty tall. I'm going to need to add more of black to my paint. So I'm just going to add a little bit more black to my paint mixture. The greenish blue color will still show through even though I'm using black. It's actually really cool how it'll still come through. Just make a little bit more of a sharp tip. And then just go in and start adding that pattern to your line to make it into our tree. I'm trying not to make these trees too thick. I want them to be more on the thin side just for the space that we have and just for the overall look that I'm going for. And see, it just comes right off the page. And then we're going to add a smaller tree right next to it. If you would like all the specific paint colors that I'm using for this video, just head over to my blog. I'll have a link in the description box below, and over there I have listed all of the specific paint colors I used, the brand of the paint colors that I used, and the mixtures that I did to make the specific colors. But any green paint, as long as you have 3 different shades of it, if you can water it down, you will be good to go. You don't have to have the exact same paint colors that I'm using. And this one's going to be just slightly taller. I'm going to actually come a little farther over, and that line will just blend in to my shape. I just added a little bit more black. Felt like this one was turning out more green than the first 2. So I'll probably go back into those 2 on the farther side, just so it makes sure everything matches nicely. this tree is going to kind of go into this one just a little bit. I'm just going to go back in over here and just add a little bit more darker tones. And then I'm going to do one more tree right off to the side here. That, and then I think I'm going to add one more tree over here, just make it a little bit shorter. I'm just really using the tip of my brush on these trees. Try to keep them thin and as controlled as possible. And then, just for the sake of the pattern I have going, I'm going to have one right over here, and it's going to come straight off the page. Just because they ended up being a little bit tighter than I expected, so they're just going to all be tight in a straight line right across the bottom. Right, and there you go. There are 3 layers of easy winter trees. Hey everyone, thanks for watching my video today. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you did, please subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up. If you'd like any extra details on this painting, head over to my blog, Reflecting Creation. I'll have a link in the description box below. Hope to see you again soon. Bye.